Hello and welcome once again to the MyGuru online SAT classroom. Today we're going to take a look at a sample reading comprehension passage. First, we want to note our blurb because the blurb is always going to give some background information that will help us. So we see here that two characters, Chi and her daughter Naomi, are members of the House of Fuji, which is a noble family. Then we go straight into the passage and use how the passage is broken up on the page to break up your note taking. In this case, we see that the paragraphs are broken into three separate columns, and we can use those columns just to break up our own reading and take notes as we go, summarizing what's happening in those excerpts. So in the first excerpt, we can see that someone named Akira comes directly, and he comes on a winter's eve, and the maid brings a calling card for Chi from Akira to announce his arrival. Chi is reluctant to go because she's feeling cozy with Naomi. She questions who it is, reads the card, sees that it's Akira Shinoda from Kobe Dental College, and Naomi, however, recognizes the name and says that she thinks her mother should go. So what you want to do here is just take a brief note somewhere either on the margin or above. So we see that Akira of the dental college comes to visit Chi and Naomi, and we see that Chi is reluctant to see him, but Naomi suggests she does. And that's it. You don't need a fully comprehensive summary of this. You just need enough to then remember what's happening in that column. We move on to the next column. We see that Akira is waiting in the entry, and we get some descriptions in that paragraph about Akira. Whenever you see descriptions on a passage, you may just kind of skim them because they are generally going to be less important than main idea action kind of sentences. So then we see that Akira addresses Chi and says that he has a matter of urgency. The voice is soft, refined, so more descriptions. We get more descriptions. We see Chi is starting to like Akira, though, and that's important. And she says for him to get out of the nasty night and come in. He then explains what he's doing. He says that normally he would approach more properly, but he's got a position that he's received word of. It's an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. She responds that that is an opportunity, but asks how is she involved? Again, we can be very brief in our summary here that Akira has a request of Chi, and Chi seems to like Akira on first glance. That's it. We don't need more details at this point. And we're going to look at the final column. So here we get to the big piece of this, which is that Akira asks for Naomi's hand. He's going to give her 2 weeks' time to make a decision, and he leaves. Upon Akira's exit, Naomi comes out, and she obviously knows that he was there to ask for her hand in marriage. Ultimately, Naomi says to her mother, I mean to have him. So Akira requests Naomi hand in marriage, and Naomi tells Chi she expects to marry Akira. The only other thing to note here is the little asterisk at the bottom. You always want to note if they give you these sorts of terms, and here we learn that Yoshi is going to be the Japanese term for a man who marries a woman of higher status, which makes sense since we know that both Chi and her daughter are members of the noble House of Fuji family. So question one is just asking which choice best describes what happens in the passage. So we've got our general notes that we've taken down in the margins, and we can then use the process of elimination to get rid of answer choices that are definitively incorrect. Choice A, we see that here it says one character argues. So we can just consider that part. Is there any argument? And absolutely not. We can get rid of A because there is no argument. Then we see one character receives a surprising request. So yes, a character does receive a surprising request, and it does come from another character. So there's nothing wrong with that. We'll hold on to choice B for now. One character reminisces. Well, no character reminisces or remembers anything. This is all in theory taking part in current time, so we can eliminate choice C. And then we've got one character criticizes. Well, there's no criticism. So again, we can eliminate choice D and select choice B, moving very briskly through the question and the answer choices, focusing on reasons to eliminate, because it does take a decent amount of time working through the passage up front. You really want to move briskly through the questions and answer choices. Then we go to question 2, which asks for the developmental pattern of the passage. Again, we could just go bit by bit through the choices looking for reasons to eliminate. So a careful analysis of a traditional piece. Well, there's no analysis. This is all in kind of just the narrative third person. We're talking about a story. There's no analysis, so we can eliminate choice A pretty quickly. Then a detailed depiction. There is a lot of detail here of a meaningful encounter. I would definitely say that anytime you're asking for somebody's hand in marriage, it is meaningful. So B seems pretty good already. Always read all of the choices, however. So a definitive response, well, there's no definitive response. We know that Akira wanted a response, but Chi doesn't give one immediately. So we can eliminate choice C for that piece without even reading the rest of the choice. And a cheerful recounting, well, there's no real cheerfulness, nor is there a recounting. So the correct answer is again going to be B for number 2. Then when we go to question 3, we need to go back into the passage for a specific term. And here we see that we're being asked about the word directly. So we want to go find directly, and we see directly here, and we see directly again here in line 65. So we want to think about what it means to be direct for Akira, because it's obviously about Akira. And we see that he came directly in line 1, breaking all tradition. And had he followed form, had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between, so we know that directly means without a go-between. We even see that term go-between again in line 65. So now we just need to find an answer choice that matches the idea of without a go-between. So frankly, doesn't match without a go-between, and confidently doesn't match without a go-between. And both of these don't necessarily describe Akira. His voice was soft, he was deferential, if we look back to lines 33 and 34. So both of those things are the opposite anyway, and with precision just doesn't match the intended meaning of directly here, which is again without a go-between, while without mediation certainly does, and that's going to be the correct answer for number 3. So that's a brief summary of how you could start. Obviously, there are more questions that would be tied with a passage like this, but hopefully it gives you a good idea of how to engage up front with a sample SAT reading comprehension passage.